You know, it's something we all take for granted, kind of like the air we breathe. It's this invisible force that powers pretty much our entire modern world. But what would actually happen if, for one full day, the entire internet just stopped? Let's take a look at what that might be like.
So, picture this. You wake up and your connection is completely dead. No Wi-Fi, no cell service. At first, you'd probably just think it's you, right? A minor inconvenience. But what if it wasn't just a local outage? What if it was everyone, everywhere, all at the same time? The whole global network offline for a full 24 hours.
The first few moments would really just be about confusion. You'd have this slow, dawning realization that this isn't a problem you can just fix yourself.
Of course, you'd go through all the usual motions. You'd restart the router, you'd toggle airplane mode on and off, you'd be staring at your signal bars, maybe even trying to call your service provider if the phone lines aren't already completely jammed. But nothing would work. And all across the planet, billions of other people would be doing the exact same thing, discovering this really profound and unsettling silence.
Now, the consequences wouldn't happen all at once. They'd cascade, following a pretty clear timeline of escalating disruption. Within that first hour, the most time-sensitive systems would feel it. By hour 3, that paralysis would spread to businesses. And from there, well, the dominoes would just keep on falling.
The very first system to completely seize up would be global finance. I mean, modern markets are built on pure speed, with algorithms making millions of trades in milliseconds over the internet. Without that connection, high-frequency trading just stops instantly. Online brokerages? Frozen. International transactions that rely on networks like SWIFT, they'd stall, effectively locking trillions of dollars right where they are.
Okay, so with finance frozen, the shockwave would ripple outward and pretty quickly hit the core operational systems of nearly every modern company out there.
And this is where the true scale of our reliance really hits home. It's not just about websites being down. The entire architecture of modern work, the cloud, it just goes dark. No access to shared documents on Google Workspace or Microsoft 365, no internal chats on Slack, no video calls on Zoom. The very tools that millions of companies use to function would simply vanish.
You see, the really crucial thing to understand here is that the internet isn't just a place we go to. It's a utility that underpins almost every process. Entire workflows are built on cloud infrastructure, communication channels are almost all internet-based, and those just-in-time supply chains, they rely on real-time data that would suddenly stop flowing. The engine of modern business would grind to a halt.
So, around the 6-hour mark, this digital paralysis really starts to show up in the physical world, causing a massive slowdown in global logistics and even some critical infrastructure.
Now, to be clear, planes wouldn't just fall out of the sky, but the systems that manage them would be in total chaos. Airline coordination for routing and ticketing would be severely disrupted. Out at sea, those real-time trackers on shipping containers, they'd just go dark. And ports, which use this complex scheduling software to manage thousands of ships, well, they'd be flying completely blind. The arteries of global trade would start to clog up fast.
And this brings up a really important distinction. The world wouldn't end. Core infrastructure, like our power grids and water systems, they often run on their own secure, isolated networks, so they'd likely keep functioning. But the digital layer we've built on top of them, for remote monitoring, for maintenance, for efficiency, that would fail. A hospital might be able to access its own internal records, but not that cloud-based patient data or any insurance verification systems. The foundation would hold, but the sophisticated structure we built on it, it would crumble.
As we approach that 12-hour mark, the cumulative effect of this standstill becomes a massive, quantifiable economic disaster.
Think about this number for a second. Over $11 billion. That's a rough estimate for the value of global e-commerce in a single day. And remember, that's just one piece of the economic puzzle. When the internet goes down, that entire flow of money just stops. Because the true financial cost is staggering. The entire digital services economy, worth trillions of dollars a year, it freezes. Online retail vanishes. The multi-billion-dollar daily market for digital advertising, gone. It's not a slowdown. It is a full stop for huge, huge sectors of the global economy.
At this point, just how deeply integrated everything is becomes impossible to ignore. Remote work is impossible. The gig economy, which completely relies on apps to connect people with jobs, it just evaporates. All streaming services go dark. Crypto markets, which only exist online, become completely inaccessible. It's a comprehensive shutdown of what we call the new economy.
So, how would you even begin to fix something on this scale? And what happens when the connection finally comes back? It's important to remember that the internet was actually designed for resilience. It's a decentralized network of networks. For a total global failure to happen, multiple redundant systems, we're talking undersea cables, satellite links, core data centers, they would all have to fail at the same time. And while that's incredibly unlikely, a cascading failure or maybe a super sophisticated coordinated attack, it does make it theoretically possible. And flipping the switch back on? Oh, that is not an instant fix. The recovery would be its own kind of nightmare. I mean, can you imagine the chaos of trying to reconcile billions of failed financial transactions? The massive task of resynchronizing data across countless servers, clearing the logistical backlog of ships and planes. It would take days, maybe even weeks, to untangle the knot that was created in just 24 hours. Ultimately, this whole thought experiment reveals a pretty profound truth about the nature of our modern world and the internet's real role within it.
So, why is a single day so catastrophic? The answer is actually really simple. We have spent the last 30 years building a world that just assumes the internet will always be there. Just-in-time manufacturing, real-time data analytics, instant payments, all of these systems are optimized for 100% uptime. They have basically zero tolerance for disconnection.
And that brings us to the crucial point here. The internet is no longer a luxury. It's not just a communication tool. It perfectly fits the formal definition of critical infrastructure, right up there with our power grids, our water systems, and our transportation networks. Its failure has a direct, debilitating effect on our economy, our security, and our society as a whole.
In the end, a 24-hour shutdown would be more than just a technical problem or an economic crisis. It would be a moment of profound, forced perspective. In that global silence, we would finally understand that the internet has become the invisible foundation of our civilization. Because the modern world doesn't just use the internet anymore, it runs on it.